Your dog feet in the back.
That's me. I'll mute.
No, it's okay. Hey, everyone, it's Kristi. And this is a rather spontaneous chat with a few friends. There's a topic that's been bothering me for a while, and I haven't had an opportunity to do a video about it, and I decided it was time to do a video about this. I think it's something that needs to get talked about. And the issue that I want to start out this hangout talking about is the man-hating, the real vicious man-hating that I see in the comment section of my videos and the comment sections of men who make feminist content. Really sexist, homophobic, vile things from people who then criticize feminism for being man-hating and claim they're egalitarians. So I wanted to bring on some other voices so it wasn't just me talking about it. And maybe starting in alphabetical order from the channel Angry Basterds. Do you want to give your introduction?
I don't really have much to say, but I can agree. It's kind of ironic. You said that this is the topic of the today's hangout, because like 25 minutes ago, Paul Elam wrote 2 articles and a video saying why all millennial men are equivalent to manginas and gynocracy.
Well, I guess we're very timely tonight. And from the channel Chrisiousity.
Yeah, so I'm a feminist channel, and it so happens I also have 3 sons, so it's very important to me that this sort of thing is covered, because I just think it's insane how they go on sometimes about men, and I just hate to think that, you know, like, it's the sort of thing you would expect in a grade school backyard somewhere, where they're, you know, just, you faggot, you this, you F, all these kind of F-bombs going off, and just nonsense. So, yeah, so I'm very glad to be here.
And finally, from the channel Demotivator Opinion.
Hello.
Demo.
Demo. Is that what I am for short? Demo? Demo?
Yeah,
yeah, okay. So I'm going to start off by talking about the weather, because it's how you normally start things. It's a little bit rainy out here, but it's probably going to clear up later in the day. And yeah, that's me.
Great. Now, I know that, Tim, you often poke fun in your videos at the way that your people write comments. Yes,
yeah.
To you. And what's been your experience on YouTube in terms of the kinds of waves or you know, experiences with, you know, basically man-hating, you know?
Well, I mean, I got it the most for my bearing video, and my apology to bearing video, but that was kind of fair, because I mean, I was sort of trolling a lot on that video. But for the original video, I got a decent amount of hate. I'm scrolling through the comments now just to see what I got. I got some stuff like, the mental disability required to believe the shit you're spewing is incredible. So there's a person calling me mentally disabled. Oh, here it just says I'm leeching off Bearing's fame. I haven't seen many. Oh, here we go. You're a fucking cuck. Go headbutt an X. That's one of them. So yeah, I mean, I've ignored the comments on the Bearing video, because like, after they just started flowing in, you're a silly cunt. That's not so bad. Hit button X is worse. After they started flowing in, I was just like, there's no point reading these comments anymore, because it's just like a torrent of hate. So now when I see comments on the Bearing video, I'm just like, it's pointless. Like, I can't be bothered looking at them, because it's just like, you're a cuck, you blah, blah, you go get laid, you live in the basement. That's what everything is, you know? So yeah.
There's an obsession with getting laid. There's like this, you're never going to get laid, no one will ever lay you, you can only be having these opinions because you want to get laid. I don't know. I see it all the time.
Yeah, living in your mother's basement's a big one. Here, oh, kill yourself, that's nice. So, you know, you just get that kind of stuff. And it's funny, because that's all in response to me saying, you know, Bearing should be careful about bullying people on the internet. And so, like, literally they see, like, oh, a video that's anti-bullying, let's go tell him to kill himself and headbutt an axe and, you know, call him a virgin. It's like, is that really a smart reaction to a video that's saying you shouldn't bully? I mean, You know,
The
that's what I'm
thing that
wondering.
gets me is, yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of attention brought to the kinds of ways that women are verbally or abused. Abusive things are written in the comments and the way that they're harassed online, and then
Well,
people
I
say,
don't.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
happens to men too, but we don't really talk about it, and we also don't talk about the disrespect that this shows for men. If you're saying these things to another man, you can't possibly believe in his equal worth.
Hmm. It's interesting because, like, here I've got you're a pathetic feminazi cuck. Feminism is cancer; it destroys everything it touches. Um, you, you want me to respect you, and you hold your head in high regard. I don't know what this is saying. Shit talking and pandering, blah blah blah. Now the war has started, or something. I don't know what this person is on about, but it's true. Like, looking through, I don't have many like talking about my parents or like saying I should be raped or something. And at least like talking to Natalie Alford, she was saying that like heaps of her comments are like, "Oh, you're like not even a 6." You know, a lot of like I wouldn't even rape you stuff. I guess inspired by Carl, but I don't really get much of that. I just get like kill yourself and you're a beta cuck. So,
Yeah,
but I
there's
don't get
also
too much. You should get raped, or I would rape you, or I wouldn't rape you because you're ugly. Or I don't get much of that. So,
Yeah, I definitely, obviously that's true that women who are speaking out in the feminist community, and people will say that anti-feminists get this too, and I'm not going to doubt someone who claims that they've had these negative experiences online. The internet, it can be a horrible place, but I just think that there's an underpinning here of the hypocrisy behind a movement that criticizes feminism for man-hating. But to be honest, I don't see that it's feminists in the comment sections of these videos. There might be the odd person who disagrees with you, but it's not hordes of feminists coming along here and belittling men. And I don't hear that complaint from people like the Amazing Atheist that their comment section was flooded by feminists who are saying, very sexist things to them. But these so-called egalitarians and anti-feminists or non-feminists, people who don't want to identify as feminists, well, if they're turning around and using this kind of language against men, and they're also, Bearing fans were also the worst for me in terms of the number of abusive, being called a cunt, to be honest, repeatedly. Yeah, they were the absolute worst. But you can't then say that you're for human equality if you talk to people like that.
he made a video about you where he called you fisty splinters or something, and then there was this big like ugly picture, and then he said it gave me night terrors or something, and then like the ugly picture of you comes in, and then he's like, "Ugh, yuck, ugh." And I was like, what is, I don't really know what the point of this is, like,
It sounds like something would do in a playground of a 7-year-old.
Yeah, just like Kristi's ugly.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an argument. I'm really persuaded.
And I changed her name to be Fisty Splinters. Isn't that funny? Like, I don't know. That's why I think Bearing is kind of an idiot. Because it's like, what's the point of that? I don't like, if I was a lot less mature, I would be like, ha ha ha. But instead, I was just like, I don't get it. It's stupid.
Well, I'm trying to work this out. I feel there's varying degrees of the idiocy. I've noticed the more vitriolic, like really obnoxious comments come from YouTube, from the quote unquote manosphere or rationals, are more they're what's how to put it? There's the channels to focus more on the idea of like satire versus argumentation.
Oh, what do you mean? Do you mean like Bearing is supposed to be comedy or something?
Yes, or like Undoomed.
Is he supposed to be comedy?
He labels himself as.
I don't know. I think people who are feminists make funnier videos. Way funnier videos.
I totally agree.
Undoomed doesn't. I don't even get that he's supposed to be funny. Really? I mean, I guess in a.
He labels his videos as comedy, so like it's. I'm taking it from his own words, even though I don't think it is, because I actually do stand like that. I
get why creationists get
comedy clubs.
I mean, like me, like me and creationist cat, we've chatted before, and he's a cool guy, and I don't know if we we don't agree on like everything. I think he agrees more. Like he thinks the SJW thing is more valid than I do. But I get how he's comedy. Like when you watch his videos, you understand why they're funny. But when I watch Bearing, I'm like, and unless you hate feminists, there's nothing funny. It's just like,
well,
I hate feminists, therefore it's funny because I hate them.
Which is weird. Like I'm not like, I don't know. Like I really like how should I word this? I'm having a hard time. I'm really exhausted. So I'm really trying to like make sense.
You can do it.
I don't know, like AIU, like I find a lot of his videos to be obnoxious, but a lot of them really make me laugh.
Really?
Yeah.
On purpose?
I've never laughed on on an AIU video.
I laugh mainly at the vitriol on his his videos. Like you can just hear the breakdown of his like mental processing, a lot of his like rants and stuff like that.
That's like the reason I'd watch Fox News or like Bill
Yeah,
O'Reilly.
I have a game where I try to see how long it can take Fox News.
Yeah.
Or like
I like watching Hannity and
like,
Bill O'Reilly because they're hilarious.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I watch once a week. I'll get with some friends and we sit down and watch Fox or Bill O'Reilly just for the laugh factor.
Hilarious.
Like
great.
You know, there's actually a game called the Most Dangerous Drinking Game where you take a drink every time Irene says something really fucking stupid.
So you just drink from start to finish, right? Put the bottle up to your lips and never stop drinking, right? Like how you judge that. But this comes back to maybe a reflection of the kind of comments you get, because if these channels aren't really presenting information or arguments or evidence, what they're doing is stirring up emotions, and that is outrage and anger and othering. And then it produces what? Equality? Egalitarianism? A better, freer society? No, it creates divisions and harassment.
I call it the Donald Trump effect.
I think so long as it's targeting Steve Shives or Kristi Winters, then it's fine. That's all that matters, is just making repetitive videos attacking Steve and Kristi.
Yeah, I get brought up in conversations. Like when Baring brought my name, I'm like, Baring knows who I am? Oh.
Well,
people like, you're fucking friends with Kristi, aren't you?
I was ironically watching the Drunken Peasants once. They brought your name up like a lot on one of her episodes.
Oh yeah, Thunderfoot brought it up too to Professor Moriarty. He's like, and he hangs around with Kristi Winters. Like, yeah, because I do better science.
By association, probably, yeah.
Well, I've talked to a lot of chemists who I've met, like who work in Europe. Like Thunderfoot's known to like not be quite known to be like not like the way I met a few chemists who were really like top level. And I said, "What do you think of the work Thunderfoot does?" And they're like, he can do better for what he does already. Like because his recent discovery is winning awards. Won an award at least for chemistry.
Ooh. Nice, shiny.
I'm sure he'll get up and remind everybody at the award ceremony that he's a scientist.
God, I saw his I saw about half an hour of his conversation with Dave Rubin, and then I just couldn't take anymore. But it was basically just like the first 10 minutes. The first question Dave Rubin asked was, "So you're a scientist? So tell us about that."
Yeah, how do you?
And I was like, "Are you serious? That's the fucking question. Tell us about your science." And then Thunderfoot kind of like smirked and was like, "Well, yes, I am.
Well,
I am a scientist." I was like, "This is hardball stuff here."
I've been practicing my Thunderfoot imitation. Yes, I do quite a better job. Yes.
Well, yes, I do.
I am a scientist.
Science is all about evidence, yes.
Yeah, but he's another one who can't craft arguments and just does a personal attack, or
I was just annoyed that
hard.
Well, he's consistently over years has gotten worse. Because I've been on YouTube since 2000, like the very start, and I remember watching Thunderfoot when I was really young, and progressively over the years he's gotten like worse and more vitriolic,
and probably lazier about how he argues things, like super lazy. That's why I was just annoyed that the best Dave Rubin could do is just like, "So you're a scientist? Tell me about that." I'm serious. Can you ask a better question? Like, God damn it.
When I met Dave Rubin at the Reason Rally, I said to him face to face, like, "Could you think in the next year get more people of the far left on your show?" He said back to me he'll consider it.
I
So
think,
I don't
and
know if
even challenging people more, you know? He doesn't
Yeah.
challenge people. He's just like, they can say any shit they want. It's just a platform to go on there to say what you want. Because I've never seen him challenge a guest, ever. And it's just really irritating.
All right, can I butt in and just say
He doesn't even play devil's advocate. All right, you can butt in. Sorry.
No, I'm butting in right now. So the whole thing about the regressive left, right? The concept of the regressive left is that these are people who are not speaking up for human rights enough and not challenging people enough. And then he has on people who have nothing to do with human rights, who are terrible from a standpoint of human rights, and he challenges them not at all. Basically, he's a regressive leftist who's not a leftist. I mean, it's just...
Who do you mean, like Dinesh D'Souza or something?
Just, oh my God, some of the people he's had on, like...
really, really, like, toxic. Like, I've looked up the backgrounds.
Paul Joseph Watson, Mike Chernovich, some of these people...
Did he have Paul Joseph Watson on?
Yeah, he had Paul Joseph Watson on.
I didn't know that. Oh, shit.
Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Ali Hurst Ali.
Can Stephen Molyneux be far behind?
Was Molyneux on there?
What?
No, but it sounds like it's going in that direction.
Yeah, he'll be there.
No. Steve Rubin actually has said on Twitter that he wants Molyneux to get on his show multiple times, but I don't know if that's going to ever happen. Because Molyneux doesn't like channel. From what I hear.
He'll get him on.
Well, Joe Rogan got him on, and that could caused all sorts of drama for months.
Anyways, we're going too off topic.
Yes,
here.
I was going to say, moving back to the topic. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah, about how do we solve this problem? Because it really does feed into the whole premise of toxic masculinity and what it means to be a man, which is to have sex with women, and to shame other men and be higher in status than them, and to be straight. You know, there's a lot of homophobia in what I see in the abuse in the comments as well. And that all maps onto, you know, patriarchal structures of what it means to be a man. And we know that that's not mentally healthy for men, and it doesn't produce, you know, great families and societies if men can't be, you know, nurturing fathers and loving husbands. So how do we unpack this? How do we get this community to be self-recognizing in what their own language is doing?
My own view on it, this is going to sound really, really controversial to a lot of people in the comment section, but like if you are heterosexual and you're not trans or non-binary, if you know that you're a heterosexual or a cisgendered male, and you have the genitalia, just admit that you're male. Like you get what I'm saying, right? Like just if you try, I'm really tired. I'm trying to like word this properly. What I'm trying to say is, if you are a male or identify as a male, just let yourself be one. Just don't put, like, you got my point. Like,
I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you saying that what it means to be a man is whatever it is for you to be a man because you identify as a man and you have a male body and that's your identification, and you know, so just be who you are, and that's what it means to be a man?
Yes, Kristi, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what does that look like? Like, how would they be if they wanted to be who they are?
Well, that's what I from my own analysis, that's where the whole theory of MGTOW comes into, without addressing or taking on their idiocy.
Yeah. What do you think do you think MGTOW, that like in some weird way they can't really deal with being men? Like, because
I've actually thought that multiple times.
Yeah, because they find it too much for them to be who they are. They feel like they have to be something more. They have to be something more manly. They have to be something better than just being a guy, which is like, I'm fine with just being a man. I don't feel the need to add all this extra shit on top of that. It's like, I'm just a guy, whatever. It's no big deal. But to them, it's like they need to be more. They have to be special. They have to be like, I am the Superman or some shit. Like, I'm the Uberman or something. Which
I've looked into. MGTOW kind of took that ideology from Pua's pickup artists. Which, from my own research in the manosphere history, apparently, like, the men's rights activists, like, in general, anti-feminists, don't like MGTOW or Puas. But Puas and MGTOWs have more in common than they do with anti-feminists and MRAs.
Yeah, I've seen anti-feminists and MGTOWs fighting a bunch on Twitter. So
yeah.
they don't necessarily get along.
And
No.
some, to be fair, some MRAs really hate PUAs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they do. Yeah, oh yeah.
Like they just think that they're despicable people, and you know. But I think the link is there in some of their gendered assumptions about what people are supposed to be like, and in holding everybody up to that standard. Like if you have your own personal standard, hold yourself up to that, but don't demand somebody else be manly in your way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when they say to me like you're a virgin or something, I just think like, well, I've never like, luckily for me, and I feel very grateful for it, I've never judged my self-worth based on whether I've had sex. I mean, I didn't even start thinking about relationships and girls and stuff until I was like out of high school. Before then, I just played video games and shit. And I was so glad that I actually kind of skipped all of that worrying about that crap, because then when I actually did meet a girl, it was so much easier, because it was like I didn't have all that anxiety growing up, because I didn't even think about like women until I was like 20 or something. Then I was like, oh yeah, I mean, maybe I should try to meet girls or something. And then I did. And it was like, I'm glad I don't have all of that baggage of like, I couldn't get laid when I was a teenager, you know?
What was I going to say? A lot of the rhetoric that like the manosphere puts out about like men being like the way is really adopted from right-wing theory that comes from not per se Nazism, but various dark enlightenments from that influenced Hitler, like Wagner. Oh my god, I'm blanking.
Are you talking Ubermensch-ish? But Ubermensch was different.
Like Nietzsche, Wagner.
But in my opinion, Nietzsche has been like horribly misinterpreted, because
Nietzsche's
the
been
Ubermensch was like, he was talking about a cultural being, like somebody who was highly intelligent, you know?
That's the problem. A lot of like the alt-right back in the Dark Enlightenment from like the in the pre-World War II and World War One misunderstood a lot of their own concepts because they didn't really think it. They just reacted to it.
Ubermensch is basically a Renaissance man. It's not like a thug who's obsessed with getting laid.
Okay, yeah. The Ubermensch, and the Renaissance was, we're talking about like 1890 at this point.
No, I know. I was doing an analogy, like he's an
Yeah.
Ubermensch.
But when you read a lot of like old like fascist papers from Benito Mussolini or like Franco, they like talk about how like the man needs to be like accessible, associated with the church and shit.
Well, I wanted to make a video about how misinterpreted Nietzsche has been, just like Marx and stuff, and I think the Ubermensch thing, there's probably some kind of weird, you know, what's the word, seed that was laid that led partly to the whole fucking culture we've got today about like what it is to be a man, you know. And Ubermensch is like an alpha, even though they've completely misinterpreted that. Yeah.
The alpha male, beta male term has been around in like alt-right national socialist circles since the end of like the 1700s. So it's like always been a right-wing German.
Poor Nietzsche, man.
Yeah, poor Nietzsche in many ways.
God.
But one thing that might be can kind of
like Jesus, come back and be like, no, what are you guys doing? It's not what I meant.
Yes, it's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But one thing that kind of tie these things together is, you know, we as social creatures, we are individualistic and atomistic. We like to sometimes have our own space, but we're also in societies, and these societies function, for better or for worse, better with hierarchies. You know, there's a reason why every country is run eventually, you know, has some kind of executive, and it's not all done by committee, because, you know, we're kind of always in the tension between kings and senates, you know, having a single person who can make a decision and take a country forward versus democracy or some kind of representative voice for the people who are being impacted by those decisions. And so that notion of someone being on top, and of course that person is, you know, 99.9% of the time, and all the world leaders throughout history have been men. You know, there's a lot of social things, whether it's now we don't have kings, but we have, you know, corporate kings and the financial aristocracy. So sorry, just let me finish. And even though we don't have gladiatory battles going on, we have sports. And so competition and male, that kind of norm for men to rank each other and to want to win is something that I think is a big challenge for egalitarianism in terms of how we do intersex and intrasex notions of equality. And I don't see the non-feminist or the anti-feminist side even starting to grapple with man-hating and the man-hating in its own community.
Well, I wanted to bring up the fact that you said the corporate warrior kind of like thing. That ideology from the right actually was invented by Ayn Rand for Fountainhead. That literally for a while, the middle to end of the book, the character Howard Rourke is they start referring him to the warrior of capital or the corporate master. For, as a character, they stop using his name. They change the character the name to those two phrases.
But we don't have to live in those societies. We can make a society where
I know. I'm just saying it ties into Wright's thought process.
Right.
So you're saying that grappling for power was invented by the right or something like that?
Yes, it's always been a theory that was dominated and invented by the right wing since around the 1750s.
I don't know. I think wanting power is a pretty universal concept. I don't think it's politically on either side. I mean, if you want power, you're gonna grapple for power, and you're gonna get it any way that you want.
I think he means corporately, though, as the head of a corporation, as opposed to the head of an army or.
The right wing always in Europe, from history-wise, from the end of the Renaissance to now, has always been always been analyzed. They have a lot of papers and books that analyze the idea of man being the hierarchical machine over everyone else.
I mean, but they never actually military might or military leadership or
no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about actual hierarchy, a lot of the documents and essays written by the alt-right and dark enlightenments from the end of the Renaissance to the 1950s. Were about not in the sense of power for corporate or government, but power for dominating people around you, in the form of psychosis.
Okay.
Yeah, but why does it have to be an alt-right idea? I think that idea of acquiring power is pretty universal. I mean, you can mask it under a political agenda.
I'm not saying it's alt-right. I'm saying the alt-right has the most theories about it and the most papers talking about it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Hey, hi, Unworshipdiety. I'm glad to see you. Just
what's
wanted
going
to
on?
say hello.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, officially, I'm bringing you into the conversation since, you kind of jumped in the middle and we've been hovering around the edges. Now you're fully all the way in. Hello.
Uh-oh, and hi.
Hey, so do you have any thoughts on the tendency toward really abusive, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, belittling terms used by people who say they're for equality and oppose feminism because feminism is man-hating, and yet use man-hating terms themselves?
I definitely don't like it. It kind of irritates me a little bit when they use egalitarian. Because now, whenever I hear the term egalitarian, I always have this sort of negative viewpoint. I'm like, oh no, you're just a MRA in disguise. You're going to be a transformer here soon. So.
Yeah, I have to say it's kind of ruined the word for me too when it's used as a code for I don't like feminism.
But I've talked to some egalitarians who, for them, their phrase egalitarian is more just well, I like feminism sort of, but I'm not comfortable using a phrase which sounds like it's just for women, So there's a few kind of fence-sittery egalitarians who are just sort of, I can't make up their mind about the word feminism,
As opposed to just focusing on the principles.
Yeah, instead of focusing on the principles, it's just sort of semantics. I don't really feel good about the word, so I think I'll call myself egalitarian.
One thing I can agree with Chris, one of the very few things Christopher Hitchens said is, in his life was, you live by semantics, you die by semantics.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Argument from semantics is going to go nowhere but in a circle, to the point where it becomes irrelevant and disingenuous.
Yeah, because literally in that questions white men have versus W's, Chris Reagan's question was, how do you feel about being part of a movement that has a gendered pronoun or some shit? It's just what? well, I care about the values behind it. Like, if they said, "Hey, we want a gynocracy," I'd be like, "I don't know about that." But they're not. They're just saying that we want equality for women. Like, who cares if it's the name? You know, that's like.
I've actually
That's not a
tried
big
like.
deal.
Does anyone actually know where the term gynocracy comes from? Because I've tried looking at like research to like find where the term comes from, and I can't find it.
I don't know. You just check your mangina manual.
I don't think it's any scholarly texts. I don't think it was invented as a theory of, from a social scientist based on observation. I mean, there might be some, the traditional matriarchy. There's been some of those in terms of power structure. But gynocracy or whatever, anything with a gyno in front of it, that's just MRA talk, I think.
Like, we've noticed
Kristi,
the trend
you've been
towards
taken over by
gynocracy.
Borg.
I've been taken over by Borg?
Yes.
Yep.
Your audio.
If we look at these statistical societal trends, we see society tending towards a gynocracy. I don't think that ever happened. Like some academic or something.
Well, I think they confuse.
Sorry, Kristi.
Yeah, I think they confuse gynocracy with the fact that they think about sex all the time.
Yeah.
They're always thinking women and sex. Doesn't mean the world revolves around women.
Like, hey, I just got laid, so you guys are more wrong than me. Owned.
Which I also find really fucking strange with the anti-feminist movement. Like, if they're caring about men's issues so much, why do they bitch so much about really like non-strenuous topics? Like, I'm not like they go on about really like dark like semantics about like rape and like pedophilia, but don't actually tackle the issues of like what like they
kind of side
care about
topics, like distraction.
But they go on nonstop about like really like fucked up simulations of like rape and pedophilia, and I'm like, what does this have to do with anti-feminism? Like when you actually watch their videos, like Molyneux or Polly Lamb or Rusha just like putting like weird scenarios here and there of like rape and pedophilia. Like what the hell does it have to do with your ideology? Like honestly.
Well, I mean, somebody made a response to me in a video where they said, "Oh, this guy looks like a dweeb, but like look at his jacket, he's trying to be trendy and shit." And I was literally just wearing that jacket because it was cold. So, and it's my warmest jacket. So it's like, I don't want to be cold while I'm making my video. But then I'm just like, that's the first thing you think of when you want to make a reply to someone. You just mock their appearance. Like, is that the best you can do? And it's just like, and why are you mocking my appearance? It's because I disagree with you about like, feminist issues and social issues. And then if I agreed with you, you'd probably be like, oh, his appearance is fine. I'm not going to even talk about it. But if I disagree with you, it's like, oh, look at this guy. Looks like a dweeb. He's probably can't even get laid. It's like, what? What the fuck's that got to do with anything I'm talking about? And you get that a lot when you make content that doesn't just toe the like anti-feminist line. Just people like constantly irrelevantly attacking what you look like and being like, oh, this guy's doing it for attention. He just wants, I don't know, to get in the pants of feminists and stuff. How am I going to get in the pants of feminists? I live in New Zealand. They all live like, my audience all lives in like American shit. I guess I could fly over there, get laid, fly back again, I hope it's someone willing to pay for the airfare,
The kind of comment that basically reduces all the effort you put into a video, all the work, the research, to the fact that you want to get laid. Like that's it's so
absurd.
Yes, exactly. And this is, it's so demeaning.
And my fiance would not be happy about it.
And it goes to the whole stereotype of men want sex all the time. It's a way to degrade you and to elevate themselves, but that's not egalitarian.
Instead of my fiance, like, I'm sorry, I've just got to go get laid by, some of the feminists in my audience, so I'll be back later.
These videos, it's finally paying off.
Yeah, that might hurt our relationship. Maybe I should just lie.
And can I say that, I mean, they're so full of shit about like sex and relationships. Believe it or not, men are not, they're not just with women because they can't have 20. Like, not all men. I have no idea. Well, there are quite a few men out there that actually have, I don't know, I don't think standards is the right word, but that have like a moral feeling or a relationship-based feeling, or who don't want tons and tons and tons of just random people and would rather have an emotional connection. But that's just beta cuck. That's mangina.
That's the Roche V ideal. is you're constantly having sex with women and discarding them, and then that is supposed to be kind of like a satisfying, desirable lifestyle. Whereas to me, I would feel like eventually that would you'd feel like an empty shell.
Bruce Fee's books must be the saddest things I've ever read. Like, sometimes he goes to these places and only has sex one time, or only has sex not at all. I think Norway, he didn't
Well, that's
even
a
get laid
tragedy.
at all. Well, no, but
Oh,
I mean,
poor guy.
the thing is, just imagining wandering the streets of a country you've never been in and you don't speak the language, just trying desperately night after night, going out to these bars to find some woman somewhere who will, have sex with you, and
You
then
can boast
walking
about it in your
home
book.
at the end, just alone night after night. I mean, it seems like the saddest thing in the world to me.
Well, so that you can put her in your book and reduce her to just a piece of meat and just like a victory that you've had. Basically, that's what he does. He's kind of like an evil sociologist. He's like going around, documenting the emptiness of the PUA lifestyle, taking data points of how empty his fucking experiences have been,
Well, doesn't it seem empty? I mean, doesn't it seem sad?
It does to me. It does to like an adjusted male, but to people, a lot of people on the internet, that's like great. It's totally desirable. It's what they want, Oh, I wish I could be a guy going around just having sex with random women and just forming no decent human relationships. Like, that sounds shit to me. But
And then people who hold him up as the ideal. And, a guy who's in a stable relationship is probably getting cucked. He's probably a cuck. Because his girlfriend's probably cheating on him because all women are evil. And all this sort of stuff.
But I mean, you can have so much like emotional satisfaction in a relationship. That has a place too. I don't know why people act like having an actual like emotional connection is worth nothing. Everything is just physical, and I don't agree with that.
Oh,
if I had no emotional connection to my fiance, I don't know why I'd really be with her, to be honest. So.
Well, you talked about, people who are well-adjusted and mature and understand the benefits of giving and taking in a healthy relationship where there's mutual trust and respect. I know.
What a man,
Yeah, but this idea of defining men by how many women they've had sex with and how much money they make and how much status they have, and women by basically being the things that men have sex with, being the things that make their babies and take care of their home and then admire them and walk around on their arm telling them how great they are. Donald Trump recently put forward his child care plan for America, and it was 6 weeks of paid leave for women and nothing for men. And that's not, yes, I mean, where is the people who talk about sexism, where are they up in arms over Donald Trump excluding the role of fathers and only giving women paid leave? I mean, I thought
fathers are just manginas, so fuck that.
And men who also would feel like they can't take parental leave at work because they'll get docked for it. Garrett and I last night, and Tom talked a little bit about this, and he had some studies that I think looked in the other direction and saw that women were penalized more. But unless we start changing these assumptions, and they start with people, younger teenage boys and girls, I'm sure, and there's quite a lot of, I think, a younger audience on some of these channels. Their role models right now are putting them on the path to Trump, not egalitarianism.
Well, people always vote against their own interests, so I mean, it's nothing new. Like, oh, this guy's got a dick, so we're gonna vote for him, and then it turns out he's not doing anything good for them at all. Yeah, that's just politics 101.
I've been on YouTube since 2005. The Donald Trump aspect has only gotten worse over time. In the past, it was nowhere near as bad as it is now.
Oh, right, probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've really surged recently, just over the past few weeks. I've noticed the alt-right has just taken off. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was going to ask Chrisiousity about, you have boys, and how do you feel about the world that they're growing into in terms of the roles that society is giving them, and like neighborhood pressures, or if you're seeing things that bother you now or things that make you happy?
A little of both, obviously. I mean, I think that one of the things that's good is that the sort of idea of bullying as being something that boys should just tolerate is leaving. So that I think is good. Like teachers are taking it very seriously. Whereas when I grew up, the whole thing about bullying is if you were being bullied, well, you were supposed to deal with it yourself. Never mind that you're 7 and you're dealing with assault, you know, like, I mean, as a grown woman, if somebody was punching me and threatening me every day, I would have difficulty dealing with that. But imagine if I was when you're just a little kid and you have to deal with that. So I think that part is good. You know, I worry because, you know, I have, and one thing that we haven't talked about, but one of the things that they really hate men who have any kind of issues as far as autism spectrum or any kind of ableism issues, any kind of disability. They really, really do not respect men who have that kind of situation, and they call them all kinds of names, and they're vicious to them. So I have my oldest son is on the autism spectrum, and he's, you know, he's doing very well, and he's very well adjusted. But it's trying because you think he's going to go out into this area where they're going to treat him like shit because he's not this ideal, this masculine, whatever that they have in their head that you're supposed to be. He's not 4, you know what I mean? And then I have a middle son who's an artist, who's very artistic, and just, you know, he also likes sports, and it's like you sit there and say, oh God, is he going to get picked on because he's not, you know, held up to this ideal as well. So it's tricky.
That's another thing I've noticed is that online autism has just become like just this catch-all pejorative for like something that's shit. And it's funny because like on Twitter there are some people who I know are autistic, and they kind of they buy into the whole thing. They use autistic as a pejorative, and they use it as a put down and stuff. And people can say, look, there's certain autistic people who use autistic as a put down, therefore it's fine. But I think about like the people who are getting caught up in that, for whom that's going to be a very difficult thing to like go on the internet and constantly see their condition used in this fashion. And I think to me, it's very harmful and dehumanizing. So, I mean, I would never use autistic or anything like that as some kind of pejorative. And I find it bizarre and really weird when you got like, you know, YouTubers with massive followings like Sargon of Akkad using autism as some kind of way to attack feminism with no regard for like people who are actually struggling in life with this condition. He's just like, fuck all those people. I'm just going to use their condition to attack feminism because I don't care about them, you know? And that, I just found it quite sad and irresponsible that you can use autism just because you don't like a movement. You can, you know, take all of these people and basically make them, you know, potentially feel more alienated. And
anybody who doesn't fit the mold.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think it's like, okay, you can use autistic and retard and all that shit, and maybe it's kind of funny, but there's like some consequences of that, and that there's people who are actually struggling with conditions who are going to potentially see that, and it's not going to be good for them. So why, I don't think the payoff of thinking it's funny is worth using that as a pejorative, so I would choose not to. And it's just if more people made the choice to be understanding and tolerant of others, I mean, I think the internet would be much less of a cesspool, especially YouTube. So, you know, especially when, we've got the largest YouTubers encouraging people to just treat each other like shit. I just think it sucks, yeah.
I did see a comment, I think it was in the Creationist Cat Sargon video, where someone had written an extended comment, not a fan of feminist in any sense of the word, but he was really angry at Sargon for what he had said about linking feminism to autism, and had quite an extended comment, and I think he was on the, and he thought it was, you know, he actually didn't like feminists, so he didn't like the association, but he just said, I got a little bit of sound in the background there, but exactly the thing you said was, you know, they were really hurt by his disregard for how he used the term.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're willing to use absolutely anything to attack the quote unquote other side, you know. And then he has the fucking balls to accuse people like me of like being partisans. It's just fucking ridiculous. You know, I would never use a mental condition to attack anti-feminists. I just wouldn't do it because I think it's wrong.
It's not mental. It's neurological.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know enough about autism, so I'm just saying I would never use a condition to attack anti-feminists. I would never be like, oh, it seems like anti-feminists. Like, I don't know. Just like, oh, they've all got borderline personality disorders. Like, why the fuck would I say that unless I was just a horrible human being? You know, I want to attack anti-feminists on their ideas, and he wants to attack them on basically like, oh, I saw an article about autism, so this is my opportunity to use autism to attack feminism. And I think it's fucking sick. To be honest.
So crashing and burning quickly, you know, and people are note of it too.
Yeah, we're reading a book on cults, then deciding feminism is a cult.
Yeah, what a coincidence, eh?
Reading like a 20-year-old book on cults.
Yes.
Actually, that book is still actually used today by the federal government of the United States and Canada, so it can't be that dated.
How would
It was
people react
1990.
if I read a book on pedophilia and then said, well, you know, oh, a lot of anti-feminists are showing pedophilic traits? Do you think people would just be understanding, like, oh, good point? No, they'd be like, holy shit, I can't believe you're using a book about pedophilia to call us pedophiles. And that's what he did with the cult book. He just read it and was like, now I get to call feminists cult members. Oh, yeah.
Exactly right. He did the same thing with collective versus individuals 8 months ago.
It was funny because we had an exchange and he was just like, Tim, you're in a cult. And I was like, wait, what cult? What? Where'd that come from?
The thing is cults have a meaning, you know, and to water that down, which is sort of what, like, I understand
the Bible of cults.
What that person in that book was trying to put forward was that, you know, that there's sort of almost a line, how do you put that? Like where there's more or less culty, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain aspects that you may not be in a full cult, but you may be in something where there's like a strong hierarchy or...
Well, I'm sure the book's fine. I mean, I don't know much about the book. I'm sure there's no problem with it. It's just the way he used it was so annoying.
Yeah, the big Sarkeesian hierarchy that we all have to pledge to. You know.
Well, that's the thing. Feminism doesn't fit. I mean, he was talking about the Iacocca.
If he applied his book to his own following and his own fans, what conclusion would he come to?
Some of them did. Some of the people in his comment section, because I read it, were going, this sounds like us.
Yeah, exactly.
They really were. Like, even some that are obviously Sargon fans going, this is making me think.
No, it only applies to feminists.
And Sargon was going, no, I don't tell you what to think, so it doesn't count for us. Like,
accidentally making his followers think. Well, that sucks. Like, oops. Oh.
They really did. You should read the comments. It's always very interesting.
Oh, okay.
I love the fact that Sargon's going around Twitter saying thinking of running for office in the future.
For the super left true liberal party.
Exactly.
I'm going to read a book on pedophilia and then start accusing people of being pedophiles. That's my plan.
After that creationist cat, Beautiful Destruction, I think there's a lot of video there for the opposition parties to use. So,
I got to watch that then. Because I thought it would have been like friendly banter, so I didn't bother watching. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Chrissy?
I was gonna say, does anybody watch the Oba of Benin? He's a really good YouTuber. Yeah, he's a really good YouTuber. I like his work a lot. He's very sharp. And one thing that he was talking about is he sort of puts these people, he calls them neoclassicals. And he talks the classical liberals. He's like, well, they're not really classical liberals either, you know, when you sort of look at what they believe, but they have these sort of neoclassical points, so he calls them the neoclassicals. And it was really interesting the way that he sort of looked at what they think. There's kind of a libertarian edge there, but there's also some sort of social democracy things there that maybe a classical liberal wouldn't have. But, you know, so it was, if you ever have a chance to look it up, it's really interesting.
Oh, cool.
Groovy.
Thanks for the
How about
recommendation.
you, Kristi? What kind? I'm Kristi. Chrissy. Yeah, two similar names. So, what kind of comments do you get on your channel, or what kind of stuff do you get that might be different from what a male feminist or feminist ally might get?
Chrisiousity, I will fuck your dead children.
Oh, wow.
Well, you shouldn't have had kids. Then they have. No, I don't know.
Necrophilia. All right. Okay.
God, I've never gotten necrophilia. That's a new one.
There's some of them are very nasty. I've been called a Jew girl a few times, and I'm not sure why.
Are you Jewish?
No.
I've got a bit of Jewish ancestry, so if someone called me a bit Jewish, I'd be like, well, that's true.
Yeah, it's not even, it's kind of not even an insult. I guess it goes to cultural Marxism. That's my guess.
Yeah. What did you do for the "I will fuck your dead children" comment? Like, what?
You report
how do you, did you delete the comment, and you like, what did you do?
I deleted it, reported it. In fact, I think Kristi was somebody I went to. I was like, oh my God, I'm shaking. Because it really does frighten you. That's a scary one. It's not like...
But you see, I don't think we would say that represents the mainstream of the hate. Normally it's not as bad as that, right?
No.
Or is it?
No.
That's like a bit unique, yeah.
That's unique.
The
mainstream is, you cunt, you bitch, you're fat, but I would fuck you anyway because I like to fuck.
I wouldn't even something.
Yeah, that
and
kind of stuff.
When they tell their mom about it, they omit the even.
Yeah, they tell women whether or not they want to fuck them. They tell men they don't like that nobody will fuck them. So basically, fucking is pretty much what their lives revolves around.
Yeah, like fucking is the currency, basically. Like this video is not going to get you. I got 4 fucks out of my video, and you only got 2. So you've got a deficit of fucks. You know, that's the currency of YouTube. Like fucks, yeah.
Yeah, for that kind of commenter, that does seem to how they look. That's the lens through which they see everything and evaluate.
Yes, a woman, they'd be like, I would give you 5 fucks, but I would give this other woman 6. So
whose channel we broadcast on?
It's good.
On mine.
It's not. Well,
no, it's unlisted right now. We'll go public when we're done because I didn't want the interference of the signal. So. I think that.
Are you going to cut it up though?
I don't think so because we're only going about an hour or so.
Okay, Kristi, I've been meaning to ask this for a while. Also, it slipped my mind.
Okay, is it on the topic or should we talk about it later?
No, it is. It's on topic. Okay. I don't want to start drama or anything, but what the debate between feminism between you and Bill Plum, what was the original disagreement over?
Can you say it again? I missed that.
The question was, what was Plum and I had an original disagreement. It wasn't really a disagreement. He came on a video that I did about rape culture and patriarchy and how rape culture disadvantages men because of the myths of sexuality. It's hard to take male rape seriously. And he said he was going to do a video on rape culture, and he asked me to watch it, and I said, well, I'll give you a review of it, and it'll be a proper review, and he said that would be fine. So we did hang out, and I laid out within like the first the video why he basically didn't make an argument, and ever since then he's sort of like not liked what I've had to say.
Who?
Noel.
Noel. Oh, Noel Plum. Yeah. All right. Yep. Jimmy. Wait. So what's the comment that Matthew has?
I was just confused with you when I was talking to him a few months ago. He said it was I asked him if he was anti-feminist. He said no. He said he considers himself to be egalitarian. So I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but was I know multiple people have told me that that the whole back and forth between you and him was about anti-feminism. So I don't know if it's true or not. Like I haven't really, because the videos are just so long. I just don't want to sit through them.
No, it was about rape culture. That was what my response to his video on rape culture, or the chat about it, and then I made another sort of summary response restating the fact that he didn't make a convincing logical argument with a premise and like supporting evidence and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
It just was not a very good video. I mean, it wasn't a convincing video, and that's what we kind of first interacted about in terms of response to the response to the response to the response.
Yeah. But
You're
it was also
going
funny
in and
how,
out
like,
again.
when
Yeah,
Noel
Tim?
Plum replied to you, Chrissy, he was all like, "You a liar! You're a terrible human being. You're the worst. I hate you. You're so bad," or whatever. Then when he replied to me, he was like, "Oh, that was just a little bit of fun ribbing, wasn't it? Oh, not too bad, Tim." I was like, "How come he treats me nice and he treats you so bad?" He's just like,
Oh yeah.
Yes, well, I mean, after I guess Steve is getting boring, so they've got to have. They want gender diversity. That's what they want.
but it's true. Like, but I sometimes feel like people are nicer to me, and I don't know if it's just because I'm a guy. Sometimes I can't tell because they're like, "Oh, Tim's a good guy. He's just he's not too bad."
Oh, it's pretty obvious because you have a pair of balls. They're nicer to you.
Exactly.
I mean, straight up, man. Like when I look at the Kristi comments, they're like, "You blankety blank 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 blankety blank blank blank." But I see your point here.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like, you call all these names. You're like, but I see your point here.
My one always says like,
Mercy.
Tim's just misguided. He doesn't know what's going on. He's in between the beta cuck regressive shit. It just is like, oh, Tim's just misguided. We'll bring him over to our side. He's a good guy. And we're like, okay, fine, whatever. But that's irrelevant to me. I don't care about their opinion of the goodness or badness of me as a person. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I've also.
I just realized you have the same name.
Yeah.
Chrisiousity and.
Oh yeah, Christiosity.
Yeah.
I have
Mashup.
a stutter, so it's hard.
Yeah, like I've called like some of these guys like idiots and like dim dolts and stuff like that. But like, you know what? You're cool. I'm sitting there like, I'm cool. Yo, man,
I just insulted you.
Chrissy.
So I'm sitting there like, why am I cool? But why is like if females like stated this thing to you? I'm like, I basically told you you're full of shit in an unnice way. Trying to insult you as best as I can. You're like, right on, man. I enjoy your gumption.
He's bad, but he's not like a disgusting cunt like Kristi.
Yes.
What? Wait, what?
Well, I'll say one thing for Noel Plum. He hates Captain Andy.
Yes, he does.
I don't know what that tells you.
There's some equity. Equal opportunity. That's fair. Maybe he just hates pirates. Yeah.
No, Winters.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Winters.
It's easier.
What's the time? Like how long is the streaming going on?
We're at an hour now. I was thinking it's going okay, so if people need to drop out, that's all right. Or if
I want to also finish off with one last question for you.
Okay.
Mario always sounds like he's dying by the end of a stream. He's like, oh.
Yeah. So why? Like, what was like your deal? Like the last, I would say 5 months of like your intolerance to Bernie Sanders.
Oh, can we not go over that? It's already done.
What?
This is
okay.
You can't bring that up as the last
just
question.
Yeah, that could be another hour or two.
Yeah.
So we'll just tag team that in for another time.
Okay. Did you make a video about it? Because if you did, I'll watch it.
No. I did my videos about Trump because I was too biased in the Democratic race to give what I thought was fair commentary, so I didn't.
Okay.
Are you going to make a video on politics, Kristi?
Well, I just did one with Will Fox where we talked about the dumpster fire. And yeah, I'm sure as things come up, actually on the night of the election, Will Fox and I are hoping to do an all-night live stream, and if you guys want to jump in, and kind of help keep us company during parts of the night as we wait for the results to come in, just like for people who are in the Hangout, I'll already extend you an invitation. We'll work out a time slot, and you can just get you the link, and you can jump in, and we can wait for the results to come in.
What about the debate? We should do a live reaction or something.
I think the first one's like the 20-something of September, so I don't know if we can put something together that fast, but maybe for the second one.
I've never done one of the like a live reaction to a debate. That'd be so fun.
Well, we can do it for a try.
Trump. Oh my god.
It's gonna be it's gonna be long. It's gonna be a long broadcast.
Well,
I think just whenever Trump is speaking, I'll just be going like, "Oh, come on."
I think what we should do is to have it and do not do a broadcast live one, but just sit together and react to, like, have the audio on something else, and we'll all listen to it at the same time and like chat about it.
And
then
just
I can
pictures
cut
of
it
us facepalming.
Yes, face palming again and again. And then
Like,
I can put in some of the debate clips and then our reactions.
yeah. Oh god, it's gonna be brutal.
Right,
Well, I hope Hillary's up to it. She might die before then. So
she's got body doubles apparently, so it's okay. They'll just put her body double.
Yeah, they'll put one of the doppelgangers up there.
Yes. So I guess if we're going to kind of wrap this up, if people okay to wrap it up, it's been about an hour. Sound okay? We can chat a little bit off air too, but I was just okay. But what I wanted to leave with is we kind of had a roundabout talk, which was fine and lovely, and I've had a lot of fun with you guys.
We can't stay on topic.
No, well, that's okay.
At all. It always happens.
Is there a way we can take increase the levels of courtesy, try to get people who say they're egalitarians to use egalitarian language, and stop focusing on making personal attacks and focus more on the arguments and the reasons and the evidence?
Yep.
We do it from our side, or is it going to take people on the other side calling out their users who use terms like, beta and mangina and cuck?
And virginity, and also using autism constantly. I think they should lay off the autism
and homophobic slurs as well.
Yeah.
I
just want people to be better people. That's all I fucking want. And maybe that's pie in the sky, but I just want people to.
I think egalitarians have to, genuine egalitarians, because they are out there, have to start to call out people who aren't genuinely egalitarian, who are only egalitarian.
Yeah,
is a way of hiding the fact that they're not.
But I mean, I had that hangout with Bering and that whole video about what Bering was doing, and then yesterday I noticed Bering's latest video, and it was just like the video was just like stupidest feminist ever, and a picture of some guy, and then the comments was just like, "Oh, this feminist is real stupid," and I just tweeted at him like, "So doing the same old shit then."
Well,
it's
Bering.
Like, okay, well, nothing changed about the conversation we had. You just went straight back to like, "No, this feminist is stupid," and maybe that's all he's capable of doing. So maybe I was wrong to try and say to him, "Man, you could be a better person," because maybe he can't. Maybe all he can do is just say feminist is stupid, and that's all he's capable of.
Bering came out with a video just recently that I think is actually dangerous, because it is about rape, but some of the things he says are so wrong about rape and consent that if people actually listen to what he says, they would actually be guilty of rape and
is he capable of being a better person? Is he
go to
capable
school,
of it?
go to jail for rape, because they seem to have this very confused idea. And I think I'll have to do a video about it, because it's like, oh my God, you have no idea. It's not that just that you're drunk and sex happens. It's who's doing what to whom and how, and it's not going to be, if you're dragging someone up to your room who's puking and barely with it, and you've taken their clothes off and then you've straddled them and all this other stuff, and you come back and somebody who's a police officer comes to you and says, well, what happened? And you tell them that, they're going to say, okay, here are your nice handcuffs and let's go. It's not no, I mean, it's very legitimate. It's not a defense that, well, I was kind of buzzed too, or I'd had a
Right.
few as well. It doesn't. No. No.
Well, I'd need to watch that video. Is that one of his more recent ones?
It is a recent one, and it's, oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah, I think you need to, yeah, I mean, I strongly encourage you to make that video, and anything I can do to help in terms of the research, in terms of the laws. I know he's in Australia, but there's a lot of other countries where he has viewers. If you need some cross-national help looking up the definition of consent in various countries, let me know. But, you know, he should mirror your correction on his channel before, you know, someone does take that as misinformation and end up committing a crime.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you guys, though. It's just a general question. Do you think, and I actually wonder about this, do you think he's capable of being a better person? Or do you think he's just can't be a better human being? Like, he's just, that's all he's ever going to do? Because, I mean, he seemed open to things in the Hangout, but at the same time, he would never agree with or admit to anything I ever said. He always have some excuse, you know? So what do you guys think?
It takes education and exposure to, you know, new information. And if he stays in a bubble, he's not going to change his mind.
He's just doing the same shit over and over and over again. This feminist is stupid. Here's another stupid feminist. Fuck this feminist. Like, he just... That sucks, because I just... You know, he seems nice, like he could do better, but he's actually not nice. He's actually a prick. So, you know...
Well, I think as long as money's coming in, he's going to keep to the opinion that brings him the most cash.
Maybe. Well, yeah, he'd lose all his audience if he started having integrity and actually, you know, being better. Like, being good seems to be a challenge for all of these guys.
Yeah, this comes back to, you know, I dropped a hint about the upcoming collaboration video in the Hangout last night, but the question of why do you always take the weakest or most extreme versions of feminist or feminism? Why don't you find the strongest, most robust audience you can find and give yourself a challenge?
That's why I'd probably still be open to doing a Hangout with Sargon, because I don't think he can walk all over me. He could try, I guess, but I'd just be like, hey, stop being a douche.
Oh God, there's so many cruise jokes I want to make right now, and I can't until you guys see the video. So many cruise videos I want to make about right now, but I can't until you guys see the video.
Okay. And we're doing another collab thingy about something. I don't know. I had to read your message about it. I forgot what you said. You said record a video or something. I just skim everything. I'm just like, you know, I'm turning Sargonish.
Your likes are meaningless.
Yeah. I'm like, God damn it, Kristi, just sum it up in 2 sentences,
5 words.
please.
You put this in 5 words, please.
Yeah.
So we guess we don't feel too much hope that people who claim to be egalitarians would actually start calling out man-hating?
Well, I don't have much hope for Baring based on his recent behavior, but maybe someone else. I don't know who.
There are, you know, I hate to be completely like, screw these people, because there are some MRAs who care about men's rights. There are some egalitarians who mean it. But I think I do think, at least online, at least on YouTube, at least on the comment sections of feminist videos, they're a severe minority. And perhaps that's part of the reason that they don't feel strong enough to go and say, you know, you people should fuck off, you know, and stop using egalitarian theory to, because look, if you're in a truly egalitarian society where women feel shit upon and people of color feel shit upon and people who are not cisgendered or people who are gay feel shit upon all the time, you're in a society which, as an egalitarian, you should feel is very problematic and needs a lot of fixing, right?
Yep.
And yet, that's not how they feel. They feel like, or how some of them express. They don't express it like that. They express it as, no, the women, the people of color, the people with disabilities, the people who are gay, the people who are trans and non-binary, they all need to deal with it and listen to the white guys more. That's not egalitarianism. I don't know what that is, but it's not egalitarianism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't actually see them applying egalitarian theory to social problems. see them presenting, here's the alternative to feminism. We can throw out every single feminist concept and just use egalitarian concepts solution. I would love to see that, but that's not, because you kind of point out there's I mean there are, I totally agree that there are men and women who are committed to men's issues. I know that there's a lot of things that I would agree on with a lot of men's rights, men who believe in men and women who believe in men's rights in terms of just genital integrity, bodily integrity. I don't think any child should be cut. I think we need to look at domestic abuse as a problem and look at how it impacts people of different identities and sexes and power structures, and look at domestic abuse. They go on about discrimination in terms of like divorce settlements. Well, why aren't they talking about the racial nature of sentencing in the judicial system and the discrimination that happens to men and disproportionately to men of color, and working on sentencing, fairness? And you're going to say, yeah, women might get off easier. Well, then let's look at sentencing reform. Let's look at the whole problem. But they would rather demonize us and make money off of calling us stupid and fat and not making any good arguments.
Pretty much.
I don't think
I
think like egalitarianism may have a real utility maybe like 20 years from now. But right now we're currently still going through like a
culture
through the past 50 years we've been going through like a the reformation of like black rights, women's rights, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that when it comes to like identity politics, people need to feel as if the rights that they're fighting for identify with them. So if they go egalitarianism, it seems too abstract. So if you say feminism, or even if you say men's rights, you need something at least now that kind of addresses your issue, the issues that you're trying to fight for.
Will this be considered kind of like the first wave of men's rights?
There were men's rights groups like in the 1970s, but they weren't the kind of men's rights we have. They were more sort of kind of what you would associate, but there was still, well, I mean, there's always been anti-feminism, whether it's been like in a men's rights format or not. And I think I think Garrett actually knows more about this than I do. I know he does. There were some loose associations, but they never really took hold the way they say like the National Organization of Women or other women's organizations.
How the NRA actually used to be about being responsible gun owners, and now they're just about having guns everywhere. Did the MRA used to be actually about men's rights, and now they're just like about rabid feminist hate?
Well, I can tell you about Robert Bly, if that's of interest. He was a poet and an intellectual who, in the 80s, he came out with books like Iron John. He was very influenced by Jungian psychology. So he had these groups where he would take men sort of into the woods, and they would sort of, the idea was there were drum circles, and you would get back to your primal. But I think that there was something going on there, because he was talking about Joseph Campbell and the sort of, what? The myth guy.
It's a stupid joke. No, I said the soup guy, Campbell soup.
No. The myth guy, the one who talked about the golden bough and who was talking about...
Isn't that Fraser?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I read the golden bough. Man, it took a long time.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, that whole idea of the hero myth, the king myth, and sort of reconnecting with myths and ideas about masculinity, but in a modern context, because obviously these sort of old ideas, we're not kings anymore. So one of the things he talked about is a lot of men out there feel like soldiers without a cause. They still have certain ideas about masculinity or certain values about their masculinity, but they have nowhere to apply it because it's not welcome in today's society. You don't, like, what are you going to do with it? You're not going to go punch someone. It's not a good thing. You're not, you need to be able to get along with women. You need to be able to get along with your children. You need to be a modern male, but at the same time, there's these sort of archetypal things that are sort of in your head, and how do you sort of translate that? How do you translate hundreds of centuries and centuries of stories and myths and legends into a modern context?
Yeah.
So, so that was what, like, there was a lot of sort of male bonding. You could almost call them male safe spaces because they were all men.
They would just call that gay now. Like, yeah, sounds gay. Where's the women? Ugh, they're getting laid by. That are not ugly. Yeah.
But I think
they were safe spaces. Yeah, it was a classic safe space.
Well, I think that there may be a correlation with the erosion of religion and with the with sexism, because like with religion, at least there was like a framework, at least into the sexist mind, where you can keep women, quote unquote, under control, because you can point to the Bible. You can say something like blah blah blah, it states here, yada yada yada, you have to stay in your place, blah blah blah. But now that more people disbelieve in religion, I think that a lot of sexist thoughts, they need something else, but they're finding it very hard to keep women, quote unquote, like in their place. So now, does that make sense? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Or
complete sense? Yeah, it's patriarchy.
There's less of a formalized structure for misogyny, so they kind of have to make it up as they go along. And I guess the easiest place to get that from is just like sex and being a player and shit. That's how you find.
Have you seen the movie?
Kind of the new misogyny,
Yeah, Chrissy, what are you gonna say about the film?
Have you seen the movie The Fisher King? Because I think that was inspired a lot by those kind of mythopoetic masculinities ideals.
Oh, right. That makes a lot more sense now.
I've seen it, but I don't quite remember it. It was like Robin Williams, right?
Yeah. Terry Gilliam directed.
I mean, way back in history, wasn't being male more about being like in peak physical condition and people basically just adoring you? Whereas,
a lot.
Like the male form was like, it needed to be perfect. But today, it's more like, how many women can you put your penis into? So it's kind of changed.
I think that's always been a part of it, to be honest. But
that's always been a part of it. But it was also a lot more about like worshiping the male form and the kind of like the David, kind of like male perfection.
There was a time when corpulence was considered attractive, and we had think about King Charles II with his long wigs, and the founding fathers and their powdered wigs and the way that they would dress. So they would wear stockings. I think Elizabeth I was he had quite a shapely calf, and under where he had his stockings on before his trousers got puffy. What's considered masculine has really changed over time. Even the colors, I learned this, that before, because red, and red was seen as a manly color, boys were wrapped up in pink, and blue was associated with the Virgin Mary in Christian countries, and so girls were wrapped up in blue. But then at some point that swapped, and pink became associated with girls. So these are completely subjective social constructs that tell you whether a child's toy is for a girl or a boy.
I think the sort of male ideal has in terms of like some kind of ethereal physical form, which is like somewhat mystical. They used to have all those like carvings and Greek structures and everything. That's kind of changed more to just like being, just having qualities that will get you laid. So you'll see like Bruce V, having like wearing certain clothes, or like having those like shirts with the button open and like having a gold chain and shit, and then having like, I don't know, hairy chest or something. And I don't fucking know what they do, but now that's like the male ideal, and then the currency is indeed like how many women you can have sex with. And I think that's like a real fall in kind of, I mean, there's a lot of problems in history because, women were always, under the iron heel or whatever. But the kind of ideal of masculinity has also deteriorated to just kind of what you can get, as opposed to, it used to be more about like looking like you're an alpha male and people kind of respecting that. But now it's more about like getting sex and having like totems, things that you just say like, this is what I've achieved. I've kind of leveled up. I've last night I had sex with 5 women. And, that's the new like alpha. And I think like, I don't know, maybe it's because war is declined or something, but I think like it's really depressing now what males are supposed to be. Yeah,
I think it has to do with technology, because a lot of the old male totems, as you say, have to deal with power and physicality and stuff like that. But now
military might,
but now we're living in a time where if you can think and type, but those are the jobs that are now most prolific now. And those jobs typically go to, those of the, more feminine aspect. So masculinity is having a problem trying to make typing on the computer masculine. I think that has something to do with it, at least, because the way the technology is moving is no longer based on strength. It's no longer based on power. It's based upon intellect and application.
Didn't like having a woman used to be kind of like a totem of your dominance or victory, and I guess part of that is still the same.
I think that in that way, if you look at it, if that's the standard, then all of the insults that are the level at you guys are any kind of deviation from that, whether it's homosexuality or not wanting to sleep with a lot of women, all the mangina, the cuck, all this stuff is to basically verbally say you're not the ideal man, and therefore you must be wrong because you're inherently flawed.
Yeah, you're not adhering to the specific criteria of what a man is
right. And that's
to be in order to be alpha,
And when you're thinking about it, sorry, but it just popped in my head.
Even someone just saying my goofy jacket, it's like that is a totem of my maleness, like the jacket I wear. Like, anyway, sorry, go on, Chrissy.
Like, is the ponage video the new masculinity asserting itself? Like, we're going to keep the woman in her place because we are masculine. We are the man. We can no longer do
dominant
through just like our powerful physiques.
Yeah, our physicality and our warfaring and
but we can mock you. We can be mean. We can come on your video and raid you and call you cunt and bitch and whore, all as much as we want to. So, is this like just a continuation of an ideal, or even a perversion of an ideal would maybe make more sense, because there was.
Well, I know that I've been subject, I think, Tim, you saw a video of, I don't want to give the person, advertising, but a response to me, which was basically just an emotional rant and not a logical argument, just basically calling me names.
So annoying. I saw that.
And it was basically, I think that was sort of, an attempt of, impotent rage trying to silence me, basically.
That video made me feel a little uncomfortable just because I was like, it's slightly disturbing how angry this guy seems. Why is he so angry? I was like, is he, like, what is going on there? Why does he hate you so much?
And, the worst that I've done is express an opinion. Like, that's, or made observations that he was relying on logical fallacies, which was a true statement. But yeah, that sort of entitlement to put people in their place, to reassert that role of being the alpha male, is anti-egalitarian. It goes against the principles that they say that they hold to in rejection of feminism. Whereas feminism is actually trying to break those things down.
There's something about you giving your point of view that just people, I don't know why, but they just find it makes them uncomfortable when you disagree with them, Kristi.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
Look, I mean, if I could think of a reason to hate you, I would, but I can't. And people tell me, like, oh, you shouldn't hang out with Kristi Winters, you shouldn't talk to her, and you shouldn't. And I'm like, I can think for my fucking self. Like, Kristi hasn't done anything bad to me, so, I mean, unless you're planning on doing something.
No, I've, other than Bernie Bro, I've never called you an insulting name. And if Bernie Bro, might be a badge of pride with some people who are diehard. So,
well, like, I feel like that on the Bernie Bro thing. I feel like, well, Bernie has lost, and you've got to be somewhat pragmatic. I do not like Hillary, and I'm totally willing to say that. I do definitely think Bernie should have won, but I think if I lived in the US, I would probably just hold my nose and vote for Hillary, because now it's just like, I feel like it's kind of depressing. I feel there's no real choices. So I'd just be like, I
completely understand that point of view. Yeah, I've backed a lot of losing candidates, so I know.
And I respected Bernie for being like, fuck it, I'm just going to support Hillary. A lot of people said he was a sellout, and I was like, no, he's just doing what he needs to do. It's fine.
It's for your country at that point, because Trump is literally that dangerous. That it's not a discussion we should be having.
I also think in the primary, if we were still during the primary, we would be viciously fighting right now, because I would be like, it's the primary, we have to fucking fight. You don't roll over and give up during the primary. During the primary, you just give it everything. So when people were saying he should drop out now, so long as there's hope, no, don't drop out, keep fighting. But then Bernie was like, well, it's too late. We can't win now. And I'm like, that's fair enough. He's made that decision. So.
And I tip my cap to that, and I did that when I supported Hillary, and I got behind Barack Obama, and I think he's been a great president. So.
But at the point before that, when you were saying Bernie should drop out, or I don't know if you said that, but some people said it, I was just like, fuck, no.
Well, that was because of math. That was because of math possible.
That's because of what?
The numbers. The math.
Oh, right, but
yeah, I know there's heart in his head. There's heart in his head.
But you got to choose a time to drop out.
Yeah, and that's a heart and head decision.
I would have respected him less if it felt like it was too early. So I think he chose the right time.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm happy that you're happy. And that
I'm not happy.
That you would support the Democratic candidate.
Well, yeah, I would be forced to vote Hillary. So there you go.
I'll take a vote. I'll take that vote if you had one.
I said
I'd
be crying in the voting while I'm pulling the lever. I'd have tears in my eyes.
As long as the tears didn't interfere with the reading of the ballot, that's okay. I'll take that vote.
Okay, Hillary, you have my vote. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Like they can't have Trump. Come on.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Dump Trump 2016 T-shirt, which is not on air, but it is on me.
Yeah.
So.
Aces.
Yeah. So this seems like a natural place to wrap up. We went a little bit longer, but the conversation got so nice. But we have been going for about an hour and a half now. So yeah, thank you guys for letting me vent about this. It's an issue that's bothered me when I see it happening to my male friends, and also it's something I don't hear talked about in the other camp, in the egalitarian or anti-feminist, non-feminist camp. This man-hating language that invades their viewers' discourse and what they can do to stop it. So yeah, I hope we get some food for thought. And hey, before we go, how about this? Let's go around and plug the next video that you are going to be putting out, and then I'll have links eventually. It's like here, folks, but I'll put links to all your channels. So if you want to recommend a video that you or someone whose channel you like a lot and maybe have contributed to instead, Tim, if you want to shout someone out, you go ahead and do it. Now let's start with Kristi.
I've been answering the questions that women have for SJWs. I've put out part 1. I'm going to be putting out part 2, hopefully this weekend. And yeah, they asked like 35 questions, so it's going to be 3-parter. So that's me. I'm almost to 1,000. So yay.
Oh yeah, go sub. Get it to 1,000 people. All right, alphabetical. Next is M. Max, you want to shout anyone out?
Who?
Shout anything? Do you want to shout any videos out?
Me?
Yeah, anyone that you've Max.
Oh, I thought you meant Max. Yeah.
I have no one I want to shout out, really.
Okay. How about you then, Tim?
Oh, well, I mean, it's still on the way, but apparently, and it's quite weird, Crowton T is going to shout me out on his channel, apparently. That's what he told me. And then I said, are you sure you want to shout me out? I mean, we don't, agree on very many things. And he was like, yes, I'm very open-minded, so I'll shout you out. And I was like, okay. So apparently I'm going to be shouted on the Crowton T's channel for some reason. And yeah, there's going to be an upcoming debate between Platypus and Socratoad. So that's on the way.
Excellent.
And that's going to be good. And a video about Kevin Logan. Platypus is making a documentary about Kevin Logan's life. So that's coming up.
Oh, God.
And on my main channel, I don't really have anything planned right now. Just whatever. Contributing to third part of answers white men have for SJWs, whatever. Questions. So, and that's a collab between us, right? So
yeah.
So that collab, working on that. And besides that, nothing. Maybe I'll do a hangout with Sargon. I don't know.
All right. Did you have anything else you want to say?
Oh, I have just sometimes I like to just ask.
He's always interrupting you.
Oh, wait, was someone else talking?
I asked Kristi if she had anything she wanted to say, and then you jumped in, but that's okay.
Oh, I didn't even say Kristi. I thought you were talking to me. I was confused. I can shut up.
All right, well, Tim, finish up, and then I'll kick back to her.
Oh, just sometimes I like to ask people in the comment section for feedback about things that I'm thinking about, but I'm not fully like informed on. So we had that conversation about how masculinity has developed from like ancient times to now. And if anyone has some thoughts or some comments on that discussion, I'd be very interested to see what people have to say about how they think that's developed. So that's all. Yeah.
That was excellent. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Kristi.
What were we talking about? I'm
Oh,
confused.
that's right. I thought you were jumped in to say something, and then Tim cut you off.
I thought it was at me. I'm sorry.
Well, I would like to say that Demotivator Opinion is a terrible person. That is what I need to say. He is always jumping in. He's always
well, I'm going to have to cut you off there because... Go on.
No,
all right,
knows.
it's all coming out now.
No, we've called each other like the SJW Wonder Twins over here because, I don't know, because we're both weird, let's be honest. And,
Yeah, and he does tell really good jokes, so.
He does.
What's that?
He tells very good jokes.
No one you know. Anyway.
Well, fuck that guy, then.
Well, thanks to my guests, and if you guys want to hang out, I'll see you in the green room after we stop broadcasting from everyone here. Yeah, that's where we go hang out before and after the show. So anyway, from me, guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video, and I've been Kristi. You've been awesome. I will have videos again for you soon. Bye.